Yes, lads, what's happening? And welcome to the 31st episode of the Little Running Irishman podcast. This episode is probably my most exciting ever on the podcast. All the other episodes I've had, the guests are absolutely amazing. I appreciate all of them coming onto the podcast, but this one is just absolutely crazy. I can't believe the one, the only Leo Daschbach actually came on to the Little Running Irishman podcast. Yeah, you heard that right, Leo Daschbach. You would have seen a teaser about this episode over on Little Running Irishman, the official Instagram. So if you want to see more behind the scenes stuff about the podcast and the channel in general, go and give me a follow over there. But yeah, Leo Daschbach on the podcast. Never thought I'd be saying that since I spoke about him in an episode of the podcast earlier on a few weeks ago in a Thursday episode. It was just a chill episode, no script, and I ended up talking about Leo Daschbach, his 4-minute mile. And actually, I've been pronouncing his name wrong. He tells me in the episode that his name is Daschbach. So yeah, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it there, Leo, if you're listening or watching this, or anyone else I might take offense to that. I don't know if you would. But yeah, no, it's an absolutely insane episode. We have a great conversation talking about basically Leo's entire running career and his achievements and goals for the future, and of course the inevitable sub 4-minute mile. It's absolutely insane. He's a top athlete right now, and soon to be world class athlete. And yeah, just a disclaimer, sometimes at the start of the episode, Leo's kind of breaks up a little bit here and there, and then during the middle it's happening like rarely, and then at the end it's barely happening at all. It doesn't really affect it that much, just to be aware of it when it's happening, that maybe if it goes quiet for a second or something, or you're hearing the glitchy sound, that is just Leo disconnecting just a little bit. But it's all grand. At the end of the day, it's an absolutely great episode, and yeah, I had so much fun recording it. Thanks, Leo, for coming on if you're listening or watching this. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it, listening or watching it as much as I enjoy recording it. So enough of me waffling, and let's get into this episode. Okay, so I'm joined here by the high school miler legend, Leo Daschbach. Thanks very much, Leo, for coming on. It's an absolute privilege to have you on. I couldn't believe when you replied to my text. I know it sounds like I'm fanboying a little bit, but yeah, it's a privilege to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I hope I'm pronouncing your second name correctly. Daschbach, is it?
It's Daschbach.
Okay, so Daschbach. Sorry if I mispronounce it over the course. Sorry. But yeah, no. Basically, what we're going to do is what I usually do is start from the beginning. When I have guests on, start from the beginning of their career, their running career, when they started and all, and get to basically their present day in their career, just so we can basically learn as much about you as we can over the podcast. I know there's the big stuff to talk about in this episode, but yeah, hopefully we can get through all of it in the time span. And so, when did you actually start running? When did you start running?
So I started running like the summer before my freshman year, because my brother is 2 years older than me. He was on the team, and he just made me come out.
So yeah, that's a pretty early enough. Freshman over in Ireland, we have it different than you over in America. We don't have freshmen and high school. No, we have primary school, secondary school, and we've like 3rd class, 4th class, 5th class. You have it mad over there, like sophomore, and I can't even remember most of it. So I'm in 5th year now, and I'm 16. So you are, how old will you have been when you were a freshman?
I'm 14. I'd have been 14.
Okay, so 14, yeah, that's pretty early. And some people, yeah, they have natural talent, and some people work hard, and some people do both. Would you say from straight on, like early on in your career, you would have been working hard, or would you say natural talent?
Yeah, I was definitely I was very blessed with how talented I was. My freshman year, I actually wasn't this freshman on my team my freshman year. I really had a big blow up between my freshman and sophomore year. That's when I really took off. And
yeah, that's great. And like, I feel like running's really a tough sport mentally, and I really found it mentally challenging and obviously physically challenging as well when I first joined. And when you first joined running, did you love it straight away, or did you find it really tough mentally or physically, going from just running around like out with your mates and all? Or because I know a lot of people join and then they can't take the mental toughness of the actual sport. So when you first joined, how did you feel straight away? Did you like it straight away?
Yeah, I mean, I think that even in even now, there are times when it gets really hard to just kind of keep waking and getting up and running, especially during our cross season. Where I live, it's really hot, so I'd have to run at 5 a.m. before school 3 days a week, and so there are definitely times when it gets hard, but yeah, I think it's just I'm just more driven than I am. I'm more driven to become better at running than I am to take back and take days off. So
Yeah, no, like that's literally the exact same with me. Like when I don't go out for a run that day, I get really bogged down and annoyed about it. But when I'm in the middle of like a tough session and I'm struggling, sometimes I feel like in the back of my head, like I wish I was at home in bed. Would you agree with that, or how do you think about that?
honestly, there is not. I don't think there's ever been a time, no matter how bad it hurts, that I wish I wasn't running. There are definitely times when I wake up and I wish I don't have to run today, but as soon as I kind of start running, I'm just so happy to be out there.
So obviously, someone of your talent must have a lot of natural talent, and you must have played sports early on in
Yeah,
your
for
life.
sure.
And yeah, so basically, as I said, you must have done many other sports early on in your life, or not many. You must, I presume anyway, you done sport early on in your life before you done running. So, what did you do? Many other sports before running, or were you just like naturally active and fit your whole life?
Yeah, so I played soccer since I was probably since I was like I have no idea, probably like 10 years old. I played soccer all the way through sophomore year, so I was probably 16 when I stopped playing soccer and made the full transition over to running.
So yeah, some people are just naturally good at every sport. So I presume fitness and speed played a big part when you were playing football. So did you love football? Did you take it seriously, or how was football for you while you were playing it?
I was. It took me a long time before I started to get decent. I thought I was like pretty good when I stopped, but I was nowhere near as talented and hungry than I was when I was running. So
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. Do what you're more comfortable with and what you're best at. But obviously, someone of your talent is obviously takes a lot of dedication and hard work and time. And with school, I know you started young, and young in school, you don't have a lot of pressure. But as you got older, and now you were a senior going into college, how in the later years of school did you basically balance your life school routine? Because obviously you've been running every day, I presume, for a long time now, at least a couple of years. Yeah, so did you find it tricky? Were there any like major like scenarios that basically impacted your running or impacted your school life that maybe other people wouldn't experience?
they were pretty. I think the hardest thing was just balancing your time and like getting all the training in with all the homework in school. I think having school actually was just because we had a team and we had like 100 kids on our cross team for our school, and so honestly, it just made it feel like we were kind of like family, and like that made it just kind of better.
So yeah, I think it's kind of cutting out on me there a little bit, Leo. I think it is reconnecting now. Yep. Yeah, no, there, it's grand, it's back now. So, yeah, balancing school
Oh,
and life, as I said, wasn't too much of a challenge for you because you had your team.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so that's fair, but I just kind of wanted to touch on the fact that, like, if you play soccer, just say, like you did, and you leave for 2 weeks and you come back, you'll still be grand, but it's not the same really with running. You lose fitness and you won't be as fit or as healthy since the last time you ran. So it does take a lot out of you, and you need to be consistent. So, and you need to give 100%. So when did you start committing basically your life and giving 100% to running?
Yeah, I fully committed um, very early my freshman year when I was 14 years old. I just committed really hard to the sport. I sort of just had like a crossroads in my life at one point, and I just kind of made the decision that I really just wanted to be the greatest runner that I could possibly be. And so from that point up until even now, it's consumed, like, pretty much my whole life is just kind of orientated around it was between running and anything else. I always made the choice of running.
Yeah, no, and definitely that is what you have to do if you want to be the best and as good as yourself. But no, yeah, what I wanted to talk about is obviously you've had many great successes over the years, and obviously the elephant in the room, which is the sub 4 minute mile. But obviously, would you agree that you've had little mini successes kind of on the side as well?
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, do you want to tell us, like, obviously you have big successes, big races, and again the 4 minute mile, but there's also little smaller successes that maybe sit closer to your heart and just mean a little bit more for different reasons or whatever. You just like when you think of like running your running career, this sort of success comes to mind.
Yeah, I think the biggest one was my sophomore year. I won the cross country state championship, and I think that was probably the biggest turning point in my running career. Is just when I won that. That was just kind of when I realized just how like good I could be in the sport, and that's what really started making me dream bigger and working a lot harder. So
that is great. So would you agree that like with great races obviously comes great times? So if you want, you can share a couple of, I'd say, your amazing PBs with us, because obviously we know the sub 4 minute mile, but is there any other PBs that you want to share with us?
Any great personal bests?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just the when I ran 14:14 at the Twilight meet, that was probably the biggest moment, because I've been dreaming about winning that race since like my sophomore year, and I put in so much work for that race, and everything I did just kind of paid off, and that was just a huge moment in my career.
That is insane, running what, a 14:40. What was that, freshman?
That was senior year, 14:14, senior year. Okay.
Oh, okay. So how old are you now?
18.
Them times, even at an 18-year-old, are insane. They're not even on my agenda right now. I'm not even thinking about them times. But a great athlete like you is obviously great at track and cross country, and you have amazing talent in both. But if you were to say, even though you're absolutely amazing at both, you've great times in both track and cross country.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worry. But if you were to pick one, I know it can be hard. If you were to pick one, maybe one you're better at, track or cross country, one that you just prefer, you mightn't be better at, or you just prefer. If you were to just choose track or cross country, what would you choose at the end of the day?
I think to succeed in this sport, you can't have a favorite, because then you just give too much attention and you just won't treat the other one as good. So I don't have a favorite, but if I did, it was track.
No, yeah, there's always it always comes back to one. But yeah, no, yeah. So we spoke about your like first bit of success when you first started running. So now we're gonna kind of move on and talk a little bit about your most kind of recent success.
Yeah.
And more of the success that is maybe bigger. I know some success is close to your heart, but what would you say is like your most biggest maybe victories or greatest achievements? Maybe greatest achievement in a race, obviously the sub 4 minute mile, but is there any other races in particular that you cherish a lot?
So I did for the Arizona State meet my junior year for track. Yeah. I triple crowned and my 4x100 team won. So I won the 800, the mile on the same day, and then I won the 4x100 and the 2 mile on another day. And so that was like the craziest, kind of just like 3 days, because it was like on Wednesday and then a Saturday. So that was just kind of the culmination of just everything, and even though like I think that in terms of competition, there just wasn't. There's just not kids like me in Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair.
But with the mile 800 on the same day, and so I ran the mile which I won by quite a bit. And then the 800, I came back from, with like 200 meters to go, I was in like 9th or 10th place. And I like closed down, and I beat out I actually beat up my teammate by like, I beat him right in the last like 5 meters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was.
And with the races being like basically 2 on the same day, and obviously coming away winning all of them, like triple crowning, as you said, that'd be a lot to take in with all the victory. And I'd say it would have been a bit overwhelming. Was it a bit overwhelming with all the victory and races so close together?
Yeah, it really was, and yeah, and it really wasn't easy, just because the doubles, I'd have to be racing kids who were fresh, and so there was still a lot of challenge, and I enjoyed the whole weekend, and it was awesome.
Yeah, there is definitely still a lot of challenge. Like, races are hard. You want to beat your teammate like you done, and also you want to get good times, good PBs, and with athlete of your talent, as I said, you're obviously a top athlete. There is still challenges because how good you are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
Yeah, so you want to get good times. Yeah, so getting good times is a challenge in itself, and obviously with you being the one person that everyone wants to beat, I'd say you may have made a few rivalries over the years of running track and cross country. I'm not too sure, have you? But yeah, with you being the one everyone wants to beat, I'm sure you were probably targeted a little bit, maybe, could you say? And people looked to actually beat you.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because my progress was just kind of like, I really didn't get onto the really elite stage until this year, and then our track season got canceled because of the quarantine.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have the opportunity to develop a rival. If I had to say there was somebody that like I always felt really competitive with, and somebody I always wanted to like beat in races, just because he was just kind of, the best kid in my mind in my class, and so obviously I would target him kind of. I was probably just like Cole Sprout. He was the kid I raced at Twilight, and then I raced him again when I ran sub-4. So yeah.
But yeah, on the topic of Cole Sprout, he was actually on the Top Running Productions podcast, so I gave that a listen out on one of my runs. But yeah, definitely your team around you does push you to train harder, like the people in your class and people on your team around you, like pushing at the end of a session. And would you say that like they definitely do help you push and get that bit extra edge out of you in a session, or even like in a race? Would you agree with that?
Honestly, I think it like all the kids in my class, even the like Cruz is getting my teammate. Like, I think, he's going to be right next to me, training at Washington, and
so
we're going to have a great time competing with each other. And like Cole Sprout, Nico Young, Strong Joe, Easton Allred, like, man, like Ryan Shafi, like all these kids are going to just so good coming into these next 4 years in college. And so I think between us, me and all of them, it's going to be quite just a great show.
It most definitely will be a great show. But yeah, it is great to have people like Nico and all, and people in your class and on your team to push you during reps, and maybe not race, but like, coming into the last bit of a session, and it's the last straight and you're neck and neck with your teammate, even maybe not racing, but like they do end up getting that little bit more out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, at the end of the session, like, and it just does make you that little bit of a better athlete and gets you over the line at the end of the day. And it's just great. That is what I love about training with my team, is that coming into the final straight, even though we're not really meant to be like racing, but it just brings out that bit of like competitive nature within the session.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that, especially if you're training with kids who are even just a little bit faster than you in workouts, because they're just going to push you.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're not beating up in reps, which I don't like the idea of racing reps, but like if you're just tailing them in reps, and like they're hitting what they're supposed to hit, but they're just pulling you a little bit faster, I think that could make a huge difference. I know that made a big difference, my freshman, sophomore years, when I was still with when my teammates were still just faster than me. That just they just pushed me so much harder in workouts, and I think that's really what's going to happen these next few years at Washington is that I'm just going to be in a situation where most of the kids on that team are going to be better than me, at least for a little while, and that's just going to take me and push me so much harder.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like, do you feel like you're gonna have to maybe change and adapt a bit, and it might be a bit of a weird feeling going onto a running team and maybe not being the best on the team, or do you think you'll be used to it because, as you said, you weren't always the best on your team? How do you think you'll feel joining the new team?
I mean, like I said, my high school was really just kind of a very kind of upward sloping, so I really didn't get onto the national spectrum and really be able to compete on that like really highly level to this year. So I'm used to just kind of being the underdog and kind of working my way up through the food chain. So
yeah, that's great.
Like it'll be different going into workouts because I'm so used to working out by myself. Like even like with teammates there, but like just running the reps by myself. So it's gonna be a different environment training wise, but yeah, I'm excited because I know I'm gonna be right back at the bottom, which that's where everyone starts. So
yeah, and like, would you agree with that? It's probably better being at the bottom to make yourself push a little bit harder.
Exactly.
Yeah, so like, you're gonna be at the bottom. If you went in and you were the best there already, you'll have nothing to aim for. So going in, not being the best, having something to work for to get the best. Obviously, if you want to be the best in the world, you have to be the best on the team, even though you don't want to be racing your teammates during the sessions. But at the end of the day, you in particular want to be the best in the world, and you're nearly there. Not nearly there, but you're on the right track. And yeah, if you want to be the best in the world, you have to be the best in the team. So it will definitely push you that little bit harder in training.
I think you're absolutely right. I do. I want to be the best, and I think that comes just from just trying to train smarter, being more consistent, working harder. Not necessarily racing the workouts, but just, you're not going to win. You're not going to become better than somebody in one workout. It's going to take, 2 years of workouts.
Yeah, but like you touched on it there, it's all about consistency. Like, it's the main thing. I know people say it all the time, and it's a bit cliche, but it's a simple thing. It's like you go out, do what your coach says, and you'll get the results, and you'll be making progress. It's all about consistency, especially sport like running where it's fitness based, not like football where you can just come back to it. It's all about consistency.
Yeah, exactly. I get people that kind of ask me, like, what are your secrets for like, being as good as I am? And it's like the reality is that there are no secrets to get where I am. It's like
exactly.
It's a simple sport, simple concepts, and it's just as simple as it is. It's the guys who kind of master these concepts and can apply them to their lives and training and routine and do it better than anyone else. That's kind of what makes the best athlete.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. Hit the nail on the head. All about the simple things, keeping it simple. As you said, consistency is key. Obviously, there's other things that come with it, like natural talent, nutrition, but also things like that. You can keep them very simple, and keeping the simple things simple. Don't overcomplicate things, and just being consistent.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So yeah, talking a little bit now more about the elephant in the room, what basically everyone has probably clicked on this episode of the podcast to hear about, which is the Quarantine Classico. So just like tell like, and the viewers at home, tell us like how like it all not really started, but like what you had to do when your season got cancelled to prepare for the mile race to break the 4-minute mile.
Yeah, I mean, once the season got canceled, that's when we really decided that we were going to spend, every day was going to be, or like all the training for the rest of the season was going to be mile oriented.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't going to be competing in the other events, and so we decided to go for sub 4, and then so whatever my coach did to make it, I mean, I can kind of tell what he did just by thinking about it, but we just kind of everything was mile orientated, and so that was kind of the biggest change, because usually we train to be a little more versatile, and I was still like versatile, but just a little more zeroed in on the mile.
So when your season was cancelled, you and the lads decided to do the mile, as you just mentioned. So what did you and your coach basically come up with session wise? I know you said it was more mile orientated. So what kind of sessions did you and your coach come up with to help you prepare for the mile specifically? And yeah, just specifically for the mile.
I think we just, like last season we were kind of like training to be also good at the 2 mile and 800. We'd have more kind of variability, and like we'd have workouts where we'd have a 2 mile tempo in the beginning of the workout, and then we'd have intervals after that, or even like a 3 mile tempo followed by like four 400s.
So longer stuff.
Then we would have, obviously like speed work, but I think this time around, just like for like 2.5 months or 3 months leading up before that sub 4, our training was really just like Monday, Thursday was just, those were just like spike up, hit the track, and just run yourself into the ground through interval work. And it was just really hard, brutal work. And then Saturdays, we'd do like an 8 mile, at like a normal distance recovery pace. And we'd have, 4 miles at like a harder tempo, kind of like a 5:10, 5:20 pace, or even faster than that. And then, so that was just kind of what our training looked like, which was different in that, from basically every other track season and even cross season, we'd have Monday, Wednesday, Friday were workouts, and then our Saturday long run would be easy, Tuesday, Thursday easy. No, I take Sunday off. That was just kind of the biggest change, and just kind of how and like with the lack of racing, it was just months of just week in, week out of just killing yourself and just hitting the floor as possible.
Yeah. And like now, I'm going off topic a bit here, but I just kind of want to ask. You mentioned your slow runs there, and just someone from like your talent, what pace would them slow runs be? I kind of just want to compare them a little bit to mine, just in my head here. So obviously miles are K, because over in America I know you do miles. So what pace would your slow runs actually be at?
I don't have K's pace, but my mile pace would be on the easy days. Like it would start out at like 7:30, and it would never go faster than like 7:05 pace.
Yeah.
And that goes for the long runs too. Aside from the tempo portion of the long run, all just because I think that's probably one of the most important concepts is just how important it is to just make sure your easy days are really easy. And then your hard days are really hard, because I know that even I've made the mistake of like even if it was I did one week or two where I was like doing like 6:30, 6:40s on my easy runs, and then hard workouts, and after like 2 weeks of that I was just like dog tired, like I couldn't like I was just like, okay, I need to change like now, because this is the easy runs cannot be like that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like, do the easy days easy, so then you can do the hard days hard. I actually don't know what I was expecting your answer to be there. It went a bit off topic there, and with the pace of your slow runs. Obviously, even someone of your talent, the slow days are still slow, so then when you can go out and hit the track running on the hard days. But is there any sessions specifically that you can like remember off the top of your head, or that you done with your coach leading up to the Quarantine Classico, the 4-minute mile? So is there any sessions you can remember off the top of your head that you done?
It's kind of so one thing that my coach does do is that every workout is different. We don't repeat workouts. It's hard to give you just one workout, but like it would just be anything kind of along like maybe like 1 or 2 800s with like 2 minutes rest, and then like 4 400s with like 90 seconds rest. Actually, on the 800s would be like 90 seconds rest. For 400s, 90 seconds rest, and then like 4 times 200s. Just anything, just like not the most complicated. And then that's how it works. And like the 800s could be at like 2:08 to 2:12 pace, and then the 400s were almost always like 59 to 61.
Jesus.
I would say that was kind of the biggest thing in working for the sub 4 is that when um when we did 400s at mile pace, like especially like for the first like month and a half, they were all like 60, and the last month and a half
Yeah.
they were all like subs like 58, 59s.
Yeah,
Because
so getting fast.
that's really just kind of the difference. Is just that little seconds is just like to run sub 4 because your 400 pace to run sub 4. The reality is that in terms of perfect splitting, you're running like 59s. You're not doing 60s because 60s are too low. And like it's like brutal, but
Yeah,
that's just kind of what you have to do to
exactly.
especially for the mile. It's just what you have to do to be a great miler.
Yeah, no, you need to be running them kind of times in training if you want to be running as well as you're running, breaking for in the mile. Anyway, that's the kind of sessions you have to do. So that is very tough. Fair play to you for that. But yeah, like as you said, that is you'd agree with. That's the kind of work you have to do to get to.
Yeah, really, and like it doesn't matter how fast you're running it. Like
yeah,
it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be hard no matter
definitely.
Whether you're running 4:45 or 3:59. It's like you're training to get better. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be hard, and you have to run hard intervals. So.
And obviously, if there were no quarantine and you were racing normally, you wouldn't have had this race. But just say if you were to have done this race and you were racing during track season and training as normal, do you think on the day maybe you could have ran a bit faster if everything was normal and you were running this race? Or do you think you put absolutely everything into this race, training-wise and on the day, and you couldn't have gone any faster?
It's really hard to tell because with the season getting canceled, even though it sucked that there's no races, it also meant that my training was just a little more pristine and calculated. But
yeah.
I think on that day, I think I could have run a little bit faster just because the fact that I came through in 3:03 and closed in 56, I think that just showed that I had a little more, maybe like 1 or 2 seconds faster. But I wouldn't go crazy. I know that there are people who had very very optimistic ideas for what I could have run if I had an actual season, but honestly, I think I did the best I could have done. So
even if you could have run faster or not on the day, you went out, you and the lads went out to break the 4 minutes in the mile, and that is what you ended up doing. So at the end of the day, if you could have ran faster, if you couldn't, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it might have been nice to run faster, but now you're the 11th fastest high school miler in history, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day if you could have ran faster or not, because you ended up breaking the goal you wanted.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like, could I run faster? Maybe. Does it really matter? I don't think it really matters.
No. Obviously, I watched the race and I watched it on the Total Running Productions YouTube channel, and yeah, you obviously mad fast time. You looked like you were going around the track really, really fast and really, really well. You looked so comfortable, and you looked like you were absolutely cruising around the track. So
yeah, exactly. Thank you.
yeah, no, the talent's definitely there, but did it? I know the mile can be a fairly painful event. Did it hurt a lot, or like what did it compare to your workouts like?
I mean, truth is, I think there was not one workout that I did that didn't hurt more than that mile. I think that's just kind of the reality, is that the workouts are going to take you to places that'll make the actual race seem almost easier. Like obviously it did hurt, and it hurt quite bad, but and after that, I would say that after I feel like the workouts hurt more when you're running them, but the races hurt more when you're done.
Yeah.
But in terms of while I was racing, it hurt really bad, but just the workouts I was doing to leading up to it were just a lot more painful, so I was pretty calloused at that point.
So maybe do you want to talk us maybe through the race a little bit, like how you felt, like did your plans basically turn out the way you wanted, the race turn out the way you want, basically, how did you feel over the course of the race? Obviously, the mile is a pretty painful race, and I'd say it did definitely hurt.
Yeah, I think it also would have hurt more if I'd split it a little differently,
Yeah.
with a little bit even splits for sure. But yeah, I mean, for me, I was just I knew because we had pacers take us through 800, so I knew
Mm.
for the first 800 of the race, there's nothing I could do about the pace because I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna take the pace or anything. I wasn't gonna yell at the pacers in the middle of the race. So I was really just kind of turned off, and my race plan going into it was um, just kind of wait until we get past 600 with 500 to go. That's when I should
Yeah.
really make my move, and so my plan was to make a move with 500 to go, and then make another move with 250 to go, and so I stuck to
Yeah.
my plan, and I really just I just sent it, and
You
I just
definitely
ran
did.
the only way I knew how, which was just
Mm.
give everything I got, and stick to whatever tactics I'd come up with for that race.
Yeah, and you just mentioned there about kicking in. Oh, excuse me, kicking in the last 250 meters. When I was watching the race, when I saw you absolutely did, you left everybody in the dust in the last 250 meters. Was there any specific speed workout or any workouts that you'd done that maybe gave you that bit of boost at the end, like speed endurance workout that made you be able to leave everyone in the dust after such a strong race and at the end of a sub 4 minute mile attempt?
Yeah, thank you. That was
Yeah, no
just
problem.
I can't say that I did have one kind of prep workout, like it was 9 days prior to that race, and I think this workout. I don't think that there's any one workout that can make or break a race. I think it's the culmination of many hard workouts that make a
Yeah,
race. But I
definitely.
think this workout actually played a good big part in the how I paced that and won that race. So that workout it was 6 by 400 with a 500-meter jog rest.
Yeah.
I averaged 56, sort of
Jeez,
mid to high 56 for that
that's
workout, and
mental.
so I think that workout actually played a good part in finishing at that pace.
So I'd say doing that session, I know it's a mixture of all the sessions that make you the athlete you are, but that one session that you were clocking off low 56s for 400, definitely did help make the rest of the race feel a little bit more comfortable due to the fact that you weren't running as intense over the course of the 4 or the 3 laps because you clocked the 56 for the last lap. So would you say that session in itself probably did help over the course of the
Yeah,
race?
definitely. I definitely because running 56s, it just makes like we were running like 60, 61 for that race. So running that pace just felt so smooth and comfortable,
Yeah.
and so I just felt so fresh and energized just kind of going into that last 500.
Hmm.
I was able to really just kind of kick it down and push it.
Yeah, definitely. So going into a race like this, I know I get pretty nervous for literally all of my races. So how did you feel going into this race? Did you feel confident because you knew you put the work in over the past few weeks since quarantine started? Were you a bit nervous? Did you think maybe you didn't put enough work in? Did you think maybe in the back of your head that you were confident that even though you're pretty humble, but in the back of your head that yeah, I will break the 4 minute barrier, or I'll have a really good chance of the breaking the 4 minutes in the mile distance. So how'd you feel?
I had actually pretty mixed feelings for that race. I was the most nervous I've ever been before a race
Yeah.
on that day. Um, I was not in a good place.
All
I
right.
actually I had a migraine while I was warming up for that race. So like during like my whole 2 lap warm up, I just had like this piercing headache, and I took like a little like headache relief, and then so I was actually not that confident on the
Yeah.
line because I was just not feeling that good. But I think that like once I hit like one or two strides, and once I really got on the line, I think my head cleared up, and I
Hmm.
just I felt so nervous that whole day. But like the closer and closer we got, and just kind of as I walked up to that line, I think that once I really stepped on that line, I was the most
Yeah.
confident I could be. Um, yeah.
And obviously you did end up breaking the 4 minute barrier in the mile, but even if you didn't on that particular day, at least you knew in the back of your head, like, all the tough workouts you done leading up to this, all the miles and all, and all the hard workouts you put in, and the dedication you put into this, not only this event, but all your races and all your training, the work you put in. And obviously you did come out breaking the 4 minute barrier, but even if you didn't, at least you knew you put the work in, and you couldn't be crying after the race saying, oh, why didn't I break it? Because if you even didn't break it, at least you knew at the end of the day that you put the work in, and if it didn't come off, it didn't come off, and you'll go again another time.
Exactly. I think that's really wise, just kind of realizing that even if I didn't break it that day, like, clearly with that 56 workout, I was fit enough to do it. So even if I didn't do it, I put all that work in and I got to that fitness level. And even if I didn't necessarily put it on the track and the times, just kind of moving forward in my career, it just means that I'm that much fitter. And especially like going into Washington, like if I didn't do it here, I was going to do it there no matter what. So
yeah, like as you said, that was the most nervous you've ever been leading up to the race. So that could have led to the migraine. But I always feel like walking up to the line on the track or on the cross country course is like your body just like goes like hollow, and you've no emotion at all when you're waiting for the gun to go off. You don't feel anything. And then when the gun goes off and the race starts, you're in race mode. You're ready to go, and you start thinking about the race, and you don't basically have time for a headache, or you basically don't have time for nerves. Basically, the thought of the race just takes place of every other feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Like once the gun went off, my mind cleared and my body just kind of flushed any kind of pain away, just to make room for all the pain that was going to come.
Yeah, it made room. The pain went away for the pain of the race to come back and take the place of the headache.
Exactly.
So obviously, being the 11th fastest ever high school miler is a pretty great achievement, and it definitely didn't go unnoticed. So did anything like change after you broke the 4 minute barrier? Like obviously you got a bit more publicity, and you probably got noticed a bit more. So you're probably still the same person, lol. You probably didn't change like that. But yeah, did anything like change for you at all after you broke the 4 minute barrier? So do you wanna tell us a little bit about that?
My Instagram blew up and I got invited on a lot of podcasts and interviews. But at the end of the day, like whether I did it or I didn't, and I did do it, I'm still the exact same person that I was before I did it. It's not like I changed. It's not like my friends still see me the same way, and like so there weren't any like big changes, just because it was just a PR. I think the biggest change is the amount of media attention that I got.
Yeah.
And, how many followers I now have on Instagram. But for the most part, I'm still just the exact same kid that I was before I ran it. And the way I kind of saw it is that it was kind of like when like you have a birthday and like maybe you're turning like 15 and like it's your birthday and someone like asks you like, so how's it feel to be 15? It's like I feel the same that I felt yesterday.
Yeah, you literally don't feel any different at all. Yeah, no, that's pretty humble, because some people, like the publicity and all, could get to their head, and then they could think, all right, I broke the 4 minute mile, I got a bit of publicity, and now I can just sit back. I don't need to do anything now running wise anymore. I don't need to get any better from here. But you're not like that. You just want to keep striving and getting better. And with some people it can change them as a person, and the publicity basically can get to their head.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if I don't keep getting better. Then this doesn't mean anything. Then I'm just a kid who was good in high school. So
exactly.
It's good to just.
You don't want to be like a one race wonder. You want to like prove a point and stay consistent. So would I be right in saying that you recently ran a 800 meter time trial on the track? I'm pretty sure I seen it up on Instagram. So how did that go for you? Was it painful, or what was the plan really with that 800?
Yeah, ran that. I soloed it, and I didn't pace it too well. I went out too fast in the first 200, and that can, especially in 800, that can kind of kill you. But I ran 150.3, which is still very very fast time.
Yeah, still fast.
I was kind of hoping to run a little faster than I did in my last time trial, so that's kind of why it didn't end up on social media. Wasn't too proud of it, but yeah.
And obviously with the mile being a longer distance, people might think it'd be harder, but you have more time to relax and sit back in it. And the 800 meters is basically a 2-lap all-out sprint. So between the mile and the 800 meters, what was the most painful in your opinion?
Yeah, I think the 800 is just a little bit more painful than the mile, just because there's just so much lactic acid, especially if you run it a little bit bad and you just kind of start seizing up and you wall up at the last 100 meters. So I think the 800 in general might just be a little more painful. But yeah,
So in the 800, would I be correct in saying you ran a 150.8? Was it?
0.3.
Oh, so 150.3, that is insane. And you ran an insane time on the track and an insane mile time. But as you mentioned, you are very like a very flexible runner. You run track, 800 meter, 1500 meter. You can run everything, and also cross country. As you mentioned earlier, you had a great cross country success over your career so far. And yeah, so you're a very flexible runner. You can run pretty much any distance and be not only run it but actually be the best at it. So that will definitely help you in the future.
Yeah, I've always been very versatile, like you said. So I'm very excited to get up to Washington. I think I can actually, with how their team kind of shaped out with eligibility and seniors graduating and stuff, I think I actually have a very good shot of being able to help out their cross country varsity team as soon as I get up there. So I'm very excited.
So we did mention that obviously not a lot changed when you ran the sub 4 minute mile. A bit more publicity on Instagram, but you did get a bit of publicity of AZ Central. You won the AZ Central Sports Awards Arizona Athlete of the Year. So that must have felt absolutely great. Now, tell me, how did that feel, like winning an award? Obviously, you said you don't do it for the publicity, but this is just a plus at the end of the day. Like
that, actually, I think that felt. I was very, very happy. That felt great to get that, just because I was like, I don't really run for like awards or recognition or attention, but for some reason, like I was nominated for it last year and I didn't win, and for some weird reason, I really wanted to win that, which is just weird because I've never really wanted to win something like that, but it was just different this time. So I was really happy actually when they announced, and I got Patrick Mahomes to friggin' say my name. You don't know who that is, but like he's.
No.
Do you know?
No, I don't know who that is. I hear his name.
He's American football quarterback.
Oh,
so it was just really really cool to hear him say my name.
No, obviously that is a really great and fantastic achievement to achieve.
Yeah.
And you were probably when Patrick Mahomes was listening out, like, and he said your name when he was listening out the nominees, you were probably like so distracted that you said your name that you probably didn't realize for a second that you actually won. You were just like, oh my god, you said my name.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, no way.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, even though you don't do it for the publicity, all these achievements and awards is great.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so grateful for just all the support and love that everyone's shown me.
Yeah.
Just after this, and just people just DM me saying like, hey, great job, man, and like you're such an inspiration. I love all that stuff.
No, you're definitely an inspiration. Nothing to say about that. But like, I know it sounds a bit selfish to say, or it sounds a bit bad with everyone dying and all, but do you feel like this, for you personally, may be a little bit of a blessing that maybe because you wouldn't have got the chance otherwise to run the quarantine classico? Obviously, if there was no quarantine, you wouldn't have you wouldn't have broken 4 right now in the mile. You probably obviously would have done it in the future, but then you mightn't have gotten the publicity that you have gotten and the recognition, and also the great Arizona Central Sports Award. So I know it might sound a bit bad because all the other stuff happening in the world, but from a personal point of view, do you think it might be a bit of a blessing, or how do you feel about it?
I think that it would be selfish of me to say that this was still a good thing, just because not just me, but so many people missed out on so many things, and I'm so lucky that I was able to have that opportunity in California to run that sub 4, and I'm one of the 1% of kids who had that opportunity. So I think I would have liked to see the actual track season happen, and I definitely had a lot of good things that happened to me, great things that happened to me this quarantine, because of it. But I think it would just be too selfish to say
that's
that
fair.
I would, if I could go back and decide whether or not we have it or have the quarantine or don't have the quarantine. Even though I think it would actually be better for me to have it, I think it would just be so much better that not have it, just because, yeah.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure that you mentioned that you're going to Washington College. Would that be correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so obviously you're looking forward to that, and going into college obviously brings a lot of new experiences in the way of academic wise. Obviously that's a major part and a very important aspect. Running wise, obviously training with new people, new teammates, and obviously outside of running, just making mates in general. So are you looking forward to all
Yeah.
that? And obviously you're a really sound, nice lad, and you're a top class runner. So making friends and running wise, you'll have no problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
And yeah, no problem at all. And yeah, no, if you should just be really looking forward to it. And obviously, a lot of people are looking forward to seeing what you're gonna pull out of the bag, training wise and running wise in your college career. But how are you feeling going in, like running wise? Are you a bit nervous academically? Are you a bit nervous making friends? Like, how are you feeling? Are you excited? So, what are the emotions going through your body?
I'm not, in terms of running, I'm not nervous. I'm just so excited to get out there and just run with that team and with those coaches. Schooling, I'm pretty excited for school.
Mhm.
I'm going to be hopefully major in nutrition or exercise physiology, or find a way to do both. That's kind of what my academic and running plans. I think socially, I'm just a little nervous. I'm scared to leave my friends and leave what I have here behind. That's heartbreak. But I think that that's just kind of how life moves on. But
Yeah, exactly.
so overall, yeah, it comes with it. Overall, I'm just excited.
Yeah, and up to this point, like running wise, everything has obviously been working really well for you, obviously, because he just broke the 4 minutes in the mile, and it will just bring new challenges when you get into college. On the running side of things, like there's gonna be lads bigger, stronger, and more than likely better than you, but it will definitely help you go faster in sessions and push you that little bit more. In sessions and in races, because you're working with lads that are older than you, bigger than you, stronger than you, and probably better. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
And yeah, just like what I said, if it's obviously what you're doing now is obviously working for you. Obviously, coaches at the college that you're attending, it will probably have maybe a few different plans and a few things will change, but pretty much you're just gonna be wanting to do the exact same thing that you've been doing up until this point.
Yeah, I think I just want to do the same thing I did in high school, which is just
Yeah.
make my way to the top of the NCAA and just try to you know try to win maybe a couple titles, or at least try to win a couple titles, and then just move on and hopefully be a professional runner.
And obviously you say, "Oh, go out, grab a couple titles and all," but realistically, you want to go out there and you want to win everything, really.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, pretty much anyone that does a sport wants to
Yeah,
be pro,
exactly.
and yeah, literally, you're just one of the lucky ones that actually get the opportunity to be up in the mix to become a professional athlete, and will hopefully, well, I presume to be, well, what you said before, to be the end goal basically would be become a professional athlete and maybe representing USA in the Olympics one day.
Yeah, that's the end goal.
Yeah. And obviously, as you mentioned, that you're gonna be studying nutrition and all, but at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is becoming a professional runner.
Yeah, that would just be the ultimate kind of life career goal.
Yeah. And what I want to talk about next is a lot of people have oils and people they look up to,
Yeah,
and obviously someone like you, with your talent and all, you would also have someone you'd look up to, maybe to aspire to be, or someone not even like just an athlete, like someone people would be like, oh, Mo Farah and all. Obviously, yeah, they're great to have as idols, but maybe there's someone else like in your family, or just someone that like motivate you basically to get up every morning and get out on the grind and start train hard each day to get the results. So who would that be?
yeah. I think it kind of changes, but I think the person that I'm always chasing and that motivates me to get up every morning and kind of drives me to keep going forward and to be the best I can be. It's not, you know, it's not a person here, but it's kind of weird, but I think it would be myself, but 5 years from now. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of who I'm always chasing, and you know, just constantly. That's just what motivates me.
Yeah, no, that's great because everything you do now is setting you up to be like the best you can be in 5 years' time.
Exactly. Everything I do
Yeah,
today is
exactly.
gonna be
Mhm.
is gonna yeah
Yeah,
influence who that person is, and so
yeah.
that's kind of chasing.
And obviously, a lot of people have idols, like an actual runner who they look up to, aspire to be. So, do you have any actual runners that you would aspire to be?
Yeah, I mean, Elite Kipchoge, obviously,
Yeah,
big one.
he's a big one. Yeah,
I'm really into a lot of the Bowerman guys like
yeah, yeah.
Lopez, Lamong, and
He's
yeah, and Matt
he's a beast.
Centrowitz.
Yeah,
I'm
beast.
also a big Prefontaine fan.
Yeah.
Um,
So I know you probably get like asked a lot with like, because obviously you're such a great talent. You're probably asked a lot. Is there like any secret like pill or like anything that like makes you as good as you actually are? And what would you tell people like that are asking you that question? Like, would you say, like, what would you tell them? Would you say maybe just stick with the simple things, just be consistent? Like, would the simple things count? Um, so like, what would you tell them? Like, it's like there's no one secret thing that'll wake up and one day you'll be the best on your team or the best in the country. You just need to be
yeah,
consistent and
100%.
um, so, like, what, in your opinion, what would be like one of the most important things? Maybe it's a small thing, maybe it's a big thing, something that helped you personally. Like, what would it be for you personally? That if someone was to ask you for a tip to help them improve running just a little bit, what would you tell them to help that person out?
So I think nutrition is one of the most important things.
Yeah,
It's not complicated, It's just eat clean foods, don't eat candy, try to avoid sugar, just,
yeah,
oatmeal, pasta, rice, chicken, just lean, clean foods, don't eat fast food, which is like easier said than done, especially to do consistently. Um, so I have a really strict diet. I think that's super important. Also sleep. I think sleep and nutrition are just such important things because the they that's what helps you to get the most out of your previous workout and what prepares you to get the most out of your next workout. So
yeah, definitely.
that's the key to always feeling good. Obviously you won't feel good every single
Yeah,
day, but through nutrition, I think you can get it so that 90% of your days you go and you feel hungry, ready, um, and just kind of ready. And I think mentally, for advice, on workout days, um, I think you should never be trying to survive a workout. You
yeah,
should always go into your workouts, into your next rep, and you should be pushing, striving, and you want to get the most out of that workout. And then another thing, and just kind of being like consistent and disciplined,
yeah,
having good self-discipline. That's just so important, and I think that just kind of comes from like you have to be able to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, and
mhm,
you have to be able to act regardless of anything. No excuses. No matter how bad you feel or
No, you're definitely right there in saying like no excuses, no matter like the circumstance. So people now, under the current circumstances with the virus and lockdown, will use that as an excuse to not go out for the run or practice, and they're just the people that don't want it. Would you agree with that? Like they're not the people that want
yeah,
it.
100%. That's yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Back to the point about like keeping it simple. Diet is it can be such a simple thing. It's just like just the right carbs, recovery, like eating the right stuff before a session, the right stuff after a session to help recover and all, as you mentioned earlier. People, like, obviously as you get older and do different events, you can implement supplements and different things like protein and all into your diet, but for right now especially, just to keep things really simple and don't overcomplicate something so simple like your diet, just so like it's just so it's such an easy thing, and it's so important, and it can really get you over the edge at the end of the day, at the end of a tough session or tough race. So like kind of what would your diet be looking like? I'd presume it's a pretty simple basic runner's diet, so would it be?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. My diet is so simple.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's just a really simple diet. You're absolutely right, and just training and everything. I also think once you get a little bit like into like sophomore junior year, you should probably start lifting and start thinking about your injury prevention and making sure you're stretching, lifting, making sure doing that stuff for injury prevention. I think when you're younger, your body's just a little more, just can kind of take different kind of hits. I know that
Definitely.
like my freshman year, I could just freaking just like roll my ankle like 280 degrees and be fine. But like now I can't like bend down without my knees hurting. So it's just kind of like,
Yeah. No, we were saying earlier that like when you go from 15 to 16 and someone asks, do you feel different? You don't. But from the distance between 14 and 18 is drastic.
yeah. 14 to 18, I just like see all these freshmen on my team. They can just like run around and just
Yeah.
flip their bodies around and just do whatever they want. I like if I did anything that they did, I'd just pull every muscle in my body. So
No, definitely as you get older, you need to put more work in when it comes to like stretching. As you said, stretching is very important. It's a big part of my pre-run and after-run routine. And also, as you said, I haven't started lifting yet, but it's very important.
yeah. And just another thing is that there's no shortcuts whatsoever.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Especially in the sport. You cannot schmooze your coach into getting you on varsity.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no way to, like I played soccer and like you could find ways to make the coach like you more, but it's like, it doesn't matter how much the coach likes you. Like if you're not fast enough to be on varsity, you're not going to be on varsity.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was just going to say that's just what I like about the sport so much is that there's no way to lie or cheat. You're either good or you're not,
Exactly, because like in running, you're out there on your own. People watching can see if you're in first or if you're in last, and they'll know if you're good or not, and if you should be at that level. But with football, it's like you can kind of hide behind a defender, you can hide behind a goalkeeper, you can blame on the goalkeeper for letting a goal in, you can blame on an attacker for not scoring.
Yeah.
There's just a lot more things you can blame it on. But in running, yeah, you train with your team, and there's ways of qualifying for championships not with your team. But at the end of the day, if you're at a higher stage, then you should be at a lower stage if you're at a higher stage, and like you're talking to coach into letting you in faster heats or whatever. You can see that you're not supposed to be there. Everyone watching can see. But as I said, like in a team sports game like football, you can hide behind people, but in running, it's all about consistency, and it's all about you basically no shortcuts.
Yeah, exactly. And like even in like practice, in other sports, you can kind of like find ways to like just not give it all in practice. But like in running, it's like you're free to not give it all in practice, but it's like you're not gonna do well. You're just not gonna be. You're just gonna go on race day and like I think that there are kids who just don't give it their all in training, and then race day comes around and they're in tears at the end of the race because they didn't PR, they didn't run as well as they wanted to, and it's like it's like you're not crying because you did bad in that race. You're crying because you didn't put the work in. It's like,
Yeah.
no.
No, that's it, exactly. Yeah, and like as you said, in running, definitely no shortcuts. You're not. Don't just. One thing we can say is, what you can say, because I listened to a podcast called the Pushing Limits podcast, and what they say in that is, don't don't complicate the simple things. You know, simple things like diet, consistency, discipline, like you mentioned earlier. Just don't overcomplicate them. Just keep them simple, and you'll eventually see progress. And yeah, it's all about consistency and simplifying things.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
yeah, you're absolutely right.
yeah, no, but I'm all out of questions now. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. It was an absolute great episode. You've drawn all the questions out of me, and no, I really enjoyed asking you the questions.
Yeah, this is a great podcast. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thanks so much. That coming from you, being on many podcasts and interviews over the past while since you broke the 4 minute mile is a privilege. That's a privilege coming from a top lad like you. So yeah, no, thanks very much. I really liked having you on, and hopefully we helped a few people out there with a few tips. Well, you anyway, because at a high level you are at. But no, I really enjoyed having you on. And I'll make sure to put your Instagram down in the description, even though it mightn't make much of a difference after all the publicity you've gotten over the past few weeks with the sub 4 minute mile. But no, I'll definitely put it down anyway. And yeah, I wish you all the best in college. I wish you the
Yeah,
best.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. I really enjoyed having you on. Hope you all guys watching or listening at home enjoyed as well. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.